Call their regular meeting to order, please. First item on our agenda is roll call. Michaela, please.
Sure. Councilmember Zeter.
Present.
Councilmember Hands.
Present.
Councilmember Andrus. Here. Councilmember Redding.
Here.
Councilmember Morgan.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Byrd.
Here.
And Mayor Galloway.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd please rise and say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is the approval of tonight's agenda. 4A, approval of the regular council meeting agenda for August 28th, 2023. We do have an amendment from what was originally sent out, and that will be item 11E1 was added.
I move to approve the agenda with the amendment of 11E.1.
Second.
It has been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next on the agenda is number 5, approval of the minutes. 5A, approval of the study session minutes from August 14th, 2023 council meeting. Did we have any changes on that one? This was the study session, okay.
I make a motion to accept the minutes as is.
Second.
It has been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next on the agenda is 5B, approval of the regular meeting minutes from August 14th, 2023 council meeting. I think we have an amendment on these as well.
I mean, I can make a motion now, but my motion was going to be to actually direct staff to develop a plan for dam powerhouse removal.
So we need to amend the minutes, correct?
I'm not looking for an amendment on the minutes at this point. I'm looking for a motion. I'm going to make a motion to direct staff to come up with a plan for dam powerhouse removal. My concern was making sure that we had that as a priority item.
I think the process would be just you and another council member ask it to be added to an agenda. So if somebody else here wants to add it to the agenda, anybody else? To
I can't
discuss?
just make a motion now?
It takes 2 council members to add items to the agenda.
But I'm just looking for a motion. I mean, I don't want to add it to the agenda if nobody supports it, so I'm making a motion to see if I get support from anybody on that.
Okay, so are the minutes okay from the regular meeting from from August 14th?
I'll make a motion to pass the minutes.
It has been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Now I'll make a motion to have staff come up with a plan for the dam powerhouse.
I think we have to wait on that until the end when we do our,
You can make a motion at any point about anything. So I can support that motion, but then we would need to have some discussion about that and have a vote.
so that's just to get it on the agenda.
No. No, he's moving to have direct staff to get a plan in place. But in order to discuss it or anything, we need to support the motion, so.
It has been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal.
We gotta. yeah,
Oh.
let's just-
Before we vote. Okay.
So what is it that you want to see, a plan?
Yeah.
Or we're going to move
yeah.
forward?
So last meeting when I asked about the plan, it sounded like there wasn't one we've got right now. And we had the resolution we passed a while ago. We'd heard about dam removal. We don't know when that's going to happen. My 2 things are, one, I don't feel like sitting around for another winter crossing my fingers hoping the thing doesn't collapse. Number 2, I think as we get serious about blight enforcement, we ought to look at our own structures, and if we can't lead by example, I don't think we should be, I think we ought to examine that. So those are my two reasons for wanting to do something. I'd rather not leave it up to whenever Superfund gets here or just chance. You know, I'm not sure where council's at on, we had supported that due diligence agreement where we were looking at, they were looking at reinforcing that structure. I don't know if that's the right path. I don't know if the right path is just to remove it. I know I'd heard the cost is on us either way to remove it. So again, I just want to know what's going on. I want some kind of plan. I don't have specifics, but preferably it lands on either we're going to remove it and here's how, or we're going to reinforce it so we don't have to worry about it collapsing and we can get it insured.
I thought that Joe said that when he was doing the due diligence, that he was told that it's a supporting dam structure and it couldn't be messed with. I thought that was the whole issue. Or are you only interested in the building that's on it?
I don't know what Joe Leverance was told about that process, because he was looking to buy it and make it into something.
Right, but then I thought when he came up, he said, yeah, that fell through because he was told he wasn't allowed to touch it because it was a functioning dam. I forget the term that he used.
There was probably a lot of permitting involved. Again, I don't know exactly what he ran into, but we've still got that structure. And again, we'd had the resolution saying we're going to tear it down, then we'd gone a different direction and saying we're going to reinforce it. I don't know all the answers. I'm just looking for, do we want to make a plan, have staff come up with plans, proposals, something so we know what's going on rather than just waiting around for Superfund, which last I heard could be, what, 10, 15 years, who knows?
Jeez.
I think the biggest issue is, in order to remove it, you have to fill in part of the channel. When you fill in that part of the channel, the bottom of that is contaminated. And so we would have to, of course, work with Eagle and figure out what we'd have to do, or if we could put up a seawall along where the channel entrance is, but you can't just remove the structure because then the water will just go over, and so we have to, of course, dam the water further back. So I think that would be, you know, if we want to look at that, but I would love if I could just fill it in, but I know I'm not probably going to get Eagle's approval just to fill it in, and because that would solve at least part of the concern, at least part of my concern of
Sure.
it collapsing and the water free flowing.
And I'm not looking to come up with solutions tonight. I just want to know, I just want to get some kind of conversation and consensus on, is this something we want to be looking at and understanding and coming up with a plan and a proposals for, versus just waiting around for whatever comes our way.
And the current plans that they've been developing for the dam removal, I'd assume we would want to look at what their plan was, because we're not going to want to do double work. And then I don't know if it'd be something feasible to get done before winter. Just personally, I know how the state goes for getting stuff approved. I'd love to just put something in the way and protect it from if there was a collapse.
And I don't know if there's even work to be done, like, when we were talking to Joe Leverance, he was talking about reinforcing the joists, which we're seeing like minor sagging on. You know, I don't know if the structure can be, I don't know what the right answer is, and I'm not looking for the right answer tonight. I'm just looking for, do we need to get some more information on this and come up with a good plan? Because even in the dam
On that, and if it needs further attention, that he would bring that forward to council for discussion.
I think, I mean, I understand your point, Dave, that, I mean, this is something that is gonna have to be addressed. It seems like we've got a lot of plates in the air currently with the streetscape and with the boardwalk, and the trestle bridge, I think, is also, they're looking for funding for that. Just seems like, are we trying to bite off more than, or trying to make staff bite off more than they can handle? It would be my concern. Can we give some leeway as far as when this, like, we can say we'd like to know what's gonna happen, but we can give them some leeway in that, so that we're not just piling more stuff on top of it.
I would want to know in their proposals what's feasible. So if what's feasible is we can't do it by this winter, but hey, next winter, or it's a 2026 project, or whatever. I mean, there's a lot to consider. I'm not asking for direct action or investment at this time, just looking for a plan.
I think that's where maybe we need to look at what's been being developed as the plans for removal. Maybe would be to direct staff to talk with and see where we're at on those plans. And if those plans can come forward with a cost estimate. If they have those to such a level where we can start estimating what the cost is gonna be and start looking into it. I'm fine with that because we're taking what's already being worked on and saying, now let's take what's been developed and let's try to put some numbers on this and then figure out what would all actually be entailed to do it, like what approvals would have to be done. Talking with, of course, the engineers who work with waterways. That's why we hired them, so
Can this be a study session conversation?
I think so.
Yeah,
I like your thinking, though.
yeah, I do
I think maybe a study session where we bring in what's been currently developed on the dam removal, review it and see where we're currently at and
And
where we're
have
going.
we done some quotas for the powerhouse?
So, as council's aware, the city received a $360,000 grant a year and a half ago from the EPA to do a full plan for removal of the spillway, removal of the powerhouse, and filling in the head race, that's that little pond between the bridge and the powerhouse, and then the park development as well. AECom was awarded that project, and just last week, we got the final report from them. The Riverfront Design Committee that, Councilmember Morgan sits on will be getting that report at their September meeting. We canceled the August one, but we said be ready, because the report wasn't quite done, but we knew we were coming right up on the end of it. We said be ready for the September meeting, we're gonna present there. And so, yeah, it will more likely will be on your study session for September, unless that study session is already full with stuff. I mean, September is a tricky month for council because you meet one time. And so, our plan at this moment is to share it, and I can just tell you right now, powerhouse demolition and head race fill is $1,809,696.11 is what AECom is,
$2 million.
yeah, if you round up 2 million, is what they say it's gonna cost for the removal of the powerhouse and to fill in the head race. But we're gonna go through a much thorough presentation on this whole report. I mean, it's 281 pages.
Since it's such a long report, how much in advance are we gonna get a copy so we can also review in advance the report?
Yeah, so my goal is, I mean, I can email the report out. I probably have to load it up to our city website and give you a link to click it, because it'll probably bog down all of your emails. I mean, it took me 3 attempts right now trying to pull that up as we were talking. So I can make that link live for you, because the report is complete. And I'm submitting this to the EPA, in the next couple of weeks. I have a September 30th deadline to get this report to the EPA to close out that grant. So I can send this report to you and let you dive into it. I mean, it'll be out at the same time, I'll share it with the Riverfront Design Committee, so they're not, blindsided by something, since they are the committee that is overseeing this. Yeah, but total for the spillway removal, which is the dam, and then this powerhouse is 4.5 million and some change.
So at this point, I'm going to call the question. We do have a motion with support on the floor.
So can I ask one more question, or you already called the question, so I can't?
Call the question.
Can you recite the question? Just so we know what we're voting
The
on?
motion was to direct staff to make a plan for the powerhouse. Is that appropriate?
So we're done with discussion, I can't see anything.
It has been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
No.
No.
I would suggest, if we have support from other council members, that be a specific conversation when we get the report from AECom.
I think there was already
That-
on plan to put it on the study session as long as I get that. And now that we see there is a plan,
Yeah.
so we don't really have to direct them to come up with a plan. Now we have to direct, how are we gonna fund it?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was feeling, with this
So-
already doing that.
Exactly.
If
That makes
if they,
sense.
that's why we paid to have the design done, so I think next is to have it at our study session, discuss it, and start looking at what the future steps are gonna be and when they're gonna take place.
Yeah, I agree. I appreciate the support for giving attention to the issue.
Cool.
Okay. Thank you, Dave. Next on the agenda is public comment. Anyone who has any public comment can step up to the podium, please. You have 3 minutes to speak. State your name and address.
Once again, I'm in front of Allegan Council. This really is kind of pathetic. Tracy, nice seeing you in person after talking to you over the phone. All right? I have much respect for you, really I do. And you too, Dolores, because you came and talked to me. The rest of y'all need to strap your balls on, tighten them up, and act like human beings when stuff is wrong. I have a shut-off notice here for a service I didn't request. This shut-off notice, $112. I have one for May for something else. Here's one for June when all this started. I received the ordinance, I believe, from you when I came in here. One day when I came in here in June, you gave me the ordinance. Now, I think it was you. If I'm wrong, I apologize. Okay, in your ordinance that you guys say I have to follow, there's nowhere in here, anywhere that says anything about RTS. But what it does say, that it is my responsibility. What it does say, if I don't pay it, there's penalties behind it. It says lien and stuff like that right here. But it doesn't give Danielle Bird the right to turn nothing on in my name without my permission. If she was that gung-ho about doing her job, after she had to go find another file or whatever it was she had to do, she could have sent me a letter saying, Mr. Jones, we have this for you have to pay this. We still might have been here, but at least I wouldn't have got blindsided by a bill. And now I'm getting blindsided every month with another bill. Shut-off notice, interests, and everything else for something that I didn't ask for. It was her fault. It's called accountability. Accountability. And you're supposed to be the mayor, and you allow this? I can understand that, because you think justice and liberty is for everybody. I can understand that. 53 years I've lived in Allegan. I'm never going to be part of the good old boys club, and I know that. Allegan been a racist town ever since I've been here, and I know that. But I don't hate people. For you personally, that's getting mad because I don't stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance, liberty and justice for all, where's the justice right now? Where is it at right now? You guys should have been man enough, woman enough to say she was wrong, and she was. If it had happened to any one of you, somebody turned something on in your name, you wouldn't sit idle by and just let it go by. Everybody up there would have opened their mouth and said something. You guys make motions every meeting. I hear motions. Why can't you guys strap one on right now to squash this? One house. Somebody got $90,000 for a house up there. There wasn't nothing wrong about the deal, but wasn't nothing right about it. Payroll gave you guys $1 million write-off. You've got a city manager that talks down to his employees, has alleged allegations of sexual harassment, but you guys cover that type of crap up. Here I am right now asking for justice and liberty. For you, one more. It's like your grandson, 7 years old, you want to bake him a cake, so you baked him a chocolate cake with chocolate icing. When you turned around to get a knife to cut the cake, he rubbed the chocolate icing on his face. Say, look, Grandma, I'm black. You slapped him and said, not in this house. Go tell your dad. So he said, I don't care about you doing that, Dave. I don't care. This is how I feel when you threaten me. I've been threatened up here by this committee. Oh, it's not right. You guys don't like it? I know it. You got 90,000. But my point being is, when you start letting people run over other people, it's not fair. It's not fair. To go on, as I was saying, right? So he has to go tell his dad. When he go tell his dad slaps him. So when he goes to his granddad granddad slaps him. So he got to come back to you. So when he comes back to you, ask him, what did he learn? What did you learn? He says he's been black for 5 minutes. And you already know he don't like white people. I've been black for 63 years, and I still don't feel that way about white people. I figure people are a human race. So it's one race, and that's the human race. This is not fair. He can sit over there, cover up for Danielle Bird all he wants to. She was wrong. You guys can make a motion. We can squash this. We'll find out who thinks it's fair. If not, that's all right. Because as far as I'm concerned, you're wrong. Somebody up there got to speak up one day and admit to it. I've got a bill for a service I'm not even getting. I can't even get water out of it. I can't use the toilet stools in the house. But you want me to pay $180-some right now is where it stands. How fair is that? Where's the justice? Where's the liberty? For all. One of these days you guys will understand that. But what's happened to your kids or somebody else? So what are you guys going to do about this? How long do I have to keep coming here to get this over with? Can we vote on this and get this over with now so I don't never have to come back in here again? If I got to pay the damn bill, I'll pay it right now, throw the money in your face. Just vote on this shit. Let's get this over with.
Is there any more public comment?
Hello, my name is LaShonda Robinson. My address is 244 James Street. I'm trying to start a nonprofit in Allegan, and I'm trying to do a youth center and a teen center. Just something simple, kind of like offer help with homework during the week or something. Place to go after school, someplace for kids to go. I got my nonprofit license. I'm in the process of waiting for the 501c3. Other than that, I was trying to get, everybody to know who I was. I'm trying to plan fundraisers and everything, but I'm just looking for any kind of support, resources, advice, recommendations from anybody, if you guys have any. I can leave you guys a flyer with my contact info. That'll help. But that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. That would be fine if you'd like to leave it with either Tracy or Michaela over there. That would be great. Thank you. Is there any more public comment to be made? Okay, if not, we'll move on down to 10A, written petitions and reports from special committees. 10A is a request from Wings of Hope. Joel, you going to take this?
Mark Heather's walking to the.
I'm going to take this.
Sorry.
Hi, I'm Mark Heather. Along with me is Sherry Schultz. We are the co-conspirators on this project. We would like to have a Christmas extravaganza at the Griswold. We have asked for December 4th. We're basically looking to call it something along Allegan Christmas extravaganza. And what we're going to do is try to put together a fun night out for adults to kick off the season. All the proceeds will go to Wings of Hope. So Sherry and myself are basically going to fund it and ask other people to donate certain things that we need. We are, basically, we're going to show It's a Wonderful Life, the movie. But during the movie, we're going to have a script so that with audience participation, we're going to have Christmas carols. We're going to have a snowball fight with styrofoam snowballs. We're looking to have a fun evening out to just kind of say, okay, here's Christmas. Let's do something different and bring some activity downtown. So those are you know, we're gonna have an ugly sweater contest, the typical things, but with a little bit of a twist. Santa will be there, IR Santa, as they say. So, and we're just asking for the board to consider that this is a fundraiser and all the proceeds are going to Wings of Hope. If there's anything they can do to assist us with that, we would greatly appreciate it. So I don't know what the procedure is to get that date locked in. We have not gone any farther until we do have that date. So we'll start publicizing it and doing our stuff.
Mark, I think you said December 4th?
Second.
Our letters, okay, I was. okay,
Second.
All right.
If I said 4th, I'm-
Misunderstood then, that's okay, I misunderstood.
It snowballs in my ear or something, yeah.
Santa here.
No, yeah, Santa hair. So, I mean, that's basically what we're looking to do, is just, Sherry had gone to something similar in Chicago. It's kind of like, I hate to say this, but it's kind of like Rocky Horror Picture Show, but a Santa version of it, you know, just a fun way for people to go out and enjoy the movie. And we're going to have audience participate. There'll actually be a script for the audience to participate, to say stuff back during the movie, and just kind of make it fun and try to make it a tradition here in Allegan, so people can have something to look forward to come back and just kind of relax for an evening out.
So are you just looking to lock this date in? Are
Looking
you-
to lock the date in and seeing if the council can come up with, if there's any discounts or anything they can do to help us with the fees that are involved with running the Griswold.
Yeah, sure.
Do you know how long you anticipate having the Griswold? Like how many hours during that day? Are you requiring any setup? Other 4 to 10:30?
I believe that's what we 4 to 10, you know,
Okay.
just so we can get the video and some of the other things set up, you know, karaoke type stuff,
It's on the
you know, so that's, and if that needs, if those, we're flexible on our hours.
You looking for just the auditorium then, Mark, or the basement as well?
No, we do not need the basement, just the
Okay.
auditorium, and what's the other room that we
The
had?
Marilla Lounge?
Yeah,
Okay.
yep.
Okay.
And, you know, the Wings of Hope will be taken care of. If there's going to be alcoholic beverages, they will be taking care of the petitions and the insurance and everything for that. We don't want to touch that, so, but they're experienced at that. And it would just be beer and wine, I would assume, at this time.
Staff had reworked the fee schedule.
Pardon?
Staff has reworked the fee schedule for the Griswold.
Yeah. Right now, if it's helpful and pertinent to the conversation, no, it is not. It's just 6 hours in the auditorium and sound and light operation on a weekend.
What's the breakout again for the sound and light operator?
$200 flat.
$100 flat?
Yep.
So, might make sense if we have $200 that we're actually paying someone to keep that fee, but maybe discount it down to that.
If I can speak for us, we would gladly pay the $200 fee, you know, to take care of the personnel that's going to be there. And if you could help with the others, that would be extremely helpful.
So,
Is that date open?
It is, yes. Yep.
And we picked a Saturday night because we didn't want to compete with the Friday nights downtown. So, and we know that December 1st is the first Friday night downtown, so the earlier in December, we figured the better off for families and everybody else to try to plan for it.
I'm fine with the $200. Is
so
everyone else okay?
I'm going to make a motion. So I make a motion that we give, we rent the Griswold Auditorium and Marilla Lounge to Wings of Hope fundraiser on December 2nd for a discounted rate of $200.
His second?
It has been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
How are you going to advertise?
Every which way we can.
Okay.
It will be in lots and lots of places. So now that we have a firm date and we have an idea of costs, now we can go ahead and do that, so. All right?
Okay.
You'll be seeing it around.
Okay. Thank you both very much. Next on the agenda is 10B, request from Allegan Heroes. And I see Kim.
Hello, how are you guys today?
Good.
So I know I spoke to you last year about the use of the Griswold, and you guys graciously allowed us to use it free of charge for our event. Our event supports local veterans, local military servicemen and women here in the country and around the world. We are finding, especially with the increase in cost, our boxes are costing about $100 to assemble, and what we provide to our veterans and nursing homes, depending on what we're able to offer, comes between $50 and $75 with what we try to provide for them. And just the use of the Griswold is our biggest cost for our fundraiser. We do get a lot of community support that helps bring down our cost, but sometimes the cost of the venue is kind of what makes or breaks us every year, so.
And you just use the bottom part, correct?
So
Or do you
we use the entire building at different points. We have the vendor show, and we have the vendor show in the morning, and that is in the basement, and that goes till about 2 o'clock. So we would have that space from about 7 for setup to 3 for tear down for our vendors, and that's mostly local vendors. And then in the evening, from about 5 to 9 to include time for our folks in the show to get ready and clean up in the evening. And then we have a silent auction that goes all day as well, and then a couple hours in the evening on Friday for a rehearsal time for our folks that are in the show, just to make sure there's no kinks during the show.
Okay. So I think we've done this in the past.
Will you need light and sound because you have a show? Will you need
Yes,
light
and we
sound?
would be more than happy to cover that cost as well, because I do know that somebody takes time out of their day to cover it.
Yeah. So does anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to rent the Griswold Auditorium at a reduced rate of $200 on November 4th for Hometown Heroes show.
Support.
It has been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign.
No.
Motion
Great.
carries.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is a request from Allegan Speak Up.
I'm going to handle this one.
Okay.
So I'm going to handle this and not Parker Johnson or Councilmember Byrd, because they are heavily involved in this organization. Allegan Speak Up is requesting use of the Griswold facility at a reduced rate for October 15th from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The actual event itself will take place from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. The goal is to feature women or feature speakers related to women's rights and issues in the auditorium, hosting a women-owned business fair in the basement, and inviting organizations providing services to women in the Marilla Lounge. The intent of the event as a whole will be to advocate for women, provide resources and education on a number of issues, and promote area women-owned retailers and services. I will not be able to answer if they are gonna be needing sound and light, but if they're gonna have speakers, I assume they're gonna at least need, audio working.
Any questions, any suggestions? Go ahead.
Roger or Parker, are they going to be needing sound and light, or do we?
To my knowledge, the use of the auditorium will not be utilized except for screening of a potential documentary or film. Any sound that will be required will be in the banquet room with a portable speaker.
Is it a silent film or how's it projected?
No, that's simply set up through the HDMI system. So
Or so you do need
there
sound
is some
and light.
technical work.
So I've seen that, and we're gonna have speakers. I'm pretty sure sound and light are gonna be needed, so I would say at least the $200 fee would be in order, similar to the previous two requests. I would make a motion as such.
I'll support.
It has been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
No.
Motion carries.
I'm abstaining.
Motion carries. Thank you, Roger. Next on the agenda, number 11, is reports from boards, commissions, and city offices. 11B, the Finance Department. 11B1 is request to approve accounts payable and payroll. Roger, please.
We have accounts payable in the amount of $307,864.92, and payroll in the amount of $34,014.22, for a total disbursement of $441,879.14. I make a motion to approve.
I'll support.
It has been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next on the agenda is 11B2, request to adopt Resolution 23.26 to approve an agreement package for the City of Allegan Retirement Plan Services and transferring the city's record keeping from John Hancock to Empower. Joel, Tracy? Tracy.
I will cover this one. Currently, we have John Hancock for our retirement services, record keeper. We also have a third-party administrator, which is Watkins Ross, and then Huntington Bank was our advisors. Huntington Bank has gotten rid of that division at the bank, and now the same people transferred over to One Digital. So that has already happened. So our advisors are now going to be One Digital. Watkins Ross will remain our TPA, and then the record keeper will now be Empower. One Digital, Huntington got with us in May or June and provided us the information to show us how we can save money for our employees, and that's on the screen up there. For our 457 plan, which is the plan that our employees contribute to. And then the money purchase plan, which is what the city contributes into for the employees. And you can see there's a significant savings by switching. And then they also offer more help administratively with things like the minimum distributions that have to happen annually and things like that. So basically what I just wanted to bring to council to ask that we can move forward with this change to save the employees money and help us on the administrative side of keeping compliant with a lot of rules that are changing. The resolution that I put forth for you guys is to allow me to sign the money purchase plan and the 457. There will be two separate documents I have to submit for each one, changing from John Hancock to Empower. allowing me to sign those things, and that will allow us to get the process started, which takes about 90 days, and that includes the 30 days notice to participants and then education for participants. So they're estimating around November, I think, that we'll have this transition complete.
Does anybody have any questions for Tracy? Okay, could I get a motion, please?
So moved.
It has been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is 11E, Public Works. 11E1, request to authorize a purchase order for Michigan Pavement Marking Company for lane striping certain streets and various intersections in the city in the estimated amount of $16,000 and contingencies in the amount of $200 for a total amount of $16,200. That is the packet that was laid in front of us. Joel?
Yeah. So Friday afternoon, after the packet was sent out, DPW Director Doug Codsman informed me that the Allegan County Road Commission let him know that the city could more or less piggyback on the county's contract for lane striping of our major streets. We do similar things with the County Road Commission. Crack sealing is another thing where we partner with them to save costs for the city. So the county's already gone through the bid process. They contracted with the firm, and we are requesting that City Council allow us to work with Michigan Pavement Markings out of Wyoming, Michigan for $16,200 to do lane striping on all of our major streets. The map that was in your packet, and it's on the screens behind you and in front of you, depending which way you're looking. The highlighted green streets are the streets that will be updated with new lane markings. Just for your information, the downtown new streets will be, addressed at the completion of our downtown improvement project. Any questions?
If there's no questions, could we get a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to authorize a purchase order for Michigan Pavement Marking for a total not to exceed $16,200.
It has been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next on the agenda is 11F, City Manager and City Clerk. 11F1, request to approve the cancellation of the September 11th, 2023 council meeting to participate in the annual Allegan County Fair Parade. Joe?
Yeah, this is a pretty straightforward report. Michaela put it together for me, so thank you for that. Every year, you cancel the parade night meeting, so it is something that you do have to pass a motion to cancel. Or we ask that you pass a motion to cancel.
I'll make a motion to cancel the September 11th meeting, both study and regular session.
I'll support.
It has been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next on the agenda is 11F2, request to accept for your information proposed changes to chapters, all those chapters listed in the City of Allegan Code of Ordinances.
I can take this one.
Michaela.
So we've been working with the city attorney, Nick Curcio, for many months now, going through the changes that were suggested by our ordinance rewrite committee. And so on the board, you can see that each chapter that we've gone through so far can be broken down into 3 categories, and they all fall into one of them. So there are chapters that have proposed changes, and in the packet were included a summary of those proposed changes, a red line version, and a clean ordinance that would implement those changes. And you'll only see a red line version with chapters that have proposed changes, because the other 2 categories were just changed too much or just need to be repealed, so there's no need for a red line version if none of the text carried over. And so we've also discussed scheduling a special meeting for Wednesday, September 6th at 5:30 so that Nick Curcio can be present for that to answer any of council's questions about the changes that have been made. The primary purpose of asking council to accept this report tonight is just so council has time to digest the changes, read through all of the material before this special meeting. And then the plan is for the September 25th meeting, I believe, we would be in a position to have these chapters available for a first reading.
Perfect. Thank you, Michaela. Is there any questions? Sure.
Now, when we're saying they're gonna be available for first reading, we're gonna do like 1 or 2 chapters at a time, right? Not all 15 at once?
So that will be discussed on September 6th to see how the whole of the council feels. You can do them all at once, or you can do them 1 at a time or 2 at a time, depending on how council feels after the September 6th meeting.
I noticed when I went online to look at the current chapter 2, there's a big difference that isn't accounted for in the red line between what's online and what's in the red line. What's going on there?
So when you go online, you mean the Municode?
Correct.
Okay, yeah, I can't answer that question without having more clarification on when you say there's a big difference.
Well, if you want,
So, and I would request that the whole council, we have this discussion for September 6th. There wasn't much, I mean, as Michaela mentioned, the purpose of getting these in front of you is because there's so much to digest. We didn't want to send them out the Friday before September 6th. We wanted to give council a couple weeks.
but I need to know what I'm looking at. Am I seeing a full red line, or is it, because there's stuff added, like significant additions that I don't see accounted for in the red line?
Okay. If you want to send those questions to the city clerk and myself, we will forward those on to Nick Curcio for his response.
When I'm looking at the red line, am I seeing the full current ordinance, or are there other changes that aren't accounted for in the red line?
So when you are looking, at what we submitted, you're seeing the current ordinance. In Municode, if you're looking at just a chapter on Municode, that has not been updated since 17.
2016 looks like the last
Okay, then
time.
16. I'm sorry for being off for a year.
And it was like every year it was getting
Yeah.
updated, and then it just stopped getting updated?
Yep, when we had a city clerk change in 2016, Lori Vanderclay retired on December 31st. Daniel Bird became the clerk after that, and then Chris Tapper, and then now Michaela. And for the past 2 years, we've been talking about doing a complete update to this process.
So we just haven't updated our
The
ordinances
the-
online?
yeah, we have not updated the online version, but the current code is available at City Hall.
So for the ones where I don't have the red line, how can I compare to what's current versus what's being proposed?
So for Chapter 2, as I just mentioned, I'm going to go to this one again. You have, it starts with the summary, that's on page 226. Sorry about that. That's on page 226 of your packet. Then you have the clean version, that starts on page 227 of your council packet.
I don't know if you understood the question.
I don't understand the question. And then the red line version picks up again on, I'm just scrolling down. The red line version
think I know
for
what
Chapter
you're
2
talking.
starts on page 240.
You can just request the current ordinances from the clerk here of what currently is on the books. That's what Joel had said a minute ago, was just request the current, if you want to make sure what's current, because that's what you're saying is you're, like, especially for the ones that are completely rewritten, is what he's saying, like, and he doesn't know if what's on Municode is current, because, right? Because if you look
Right.
at chapter 4, so you just need a copy of those chapters, or just a copy of all the ordinances that are current, is what I would suggest, just to allow you to do a good review. I think that's completely reasonable.
I would be happy to forward those 3 chapters to all of council so that you have that available.
It would be all the completely rewritten and the needs to be repealed, right? Because those are the ones that don't have red lines, so I can't see what's on the what's current.
Sure. Yep, I can forward all of those chapters on to council if that's what both council would like.
And so when I'm reading these red lines and I'm comparing them, for like chapter 2, there's a big difference between what's on the website and what's in the red line. I just ignore the website.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, I feel strongly that these should be taken 1 or 2 chapters at a time. I'm not sure I'm comfortable with all 15 chapters, especially with the experience we've had, like back with the chicken ordinance. I've got questions on these. I understand council members, have limited time in these meetings and limited patience. I'm not sure I feel like I'm gonna be able to get through all my questions on September 6th. I'm not even sure I can make it on September 6th. I'd hate to feel bulldozed into having to accept 15 chapter changes without having adequate time to discuss, and I haven't seen reports from committees on these, like there's changes to cemeteries, parks and recreation. I understand that this has been talked about a lot and that the attorney has spent a lot of time on these, but from my perspective, it feels very rushed at this point.
I think the purpose of September 6th isn't to approve everything, it's just to try to figure out how we want to proceed. And then we can say, we only want to do this one at a time, because it's really overwhelming. It's like an avalanche of information.
Yeah, and
But I think if my understanding's correct, that's what September 6th is for. It's not to say we're going to say, yes, this is all good, and we're going to rubber stamp it, because
Well,
I wouldn't be comfortable with that either.
Like I shared, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it September 6th, so I'm trying
I
to share
don't know if I
my
am either.
perspective now.
Yeah, gotcha.
Would we have to schedule first readings at September 6th? Or is that kind of what you're looking
No,
for us to do?
that is
or
not what we're looking
Are
for.
we looking to
September
do?
25th, I thought you said was the
Yeah,
first reading.
the second meeting, the only meeting, the only regularly scheduled meeting is
So it's the
fourth
6th is
Monday.
just to discuss the.
Correct.
What's kind of been presented here.
Yep.
Go through some of our concerns, and then we can,
Have our attorney present, so questions can be answered, asked directly of the attorney.
if we need more time, then at the end of the meeting, I guess we can just choose to do.
We can schedule another meeting, correct.
Sounds good.
Well, I'll move to accept the proposed changes for information.
Second.
It has been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. 11F3, request to approve a minor plat amendment to combine parcels 51-300-043-01 at 527 Maple Street and 51-300-045-00 at 531 Maple Street. Joel?
Are they gonna cut 531?
So real quick, for council's information, all plat amendments must be approved by the city council. So the owners of 527 Maple and 531 Maple would like to combine these two parcels. One is a vacant lot and one is a home that was constructed, I believe, 3 years ago. This is a typical request that city council gets to combine parcels. It meets our zoning ordinance. Therefore, it's being recommended that you approve this amendment.
Is there any questions?
Is 527 the one that was just, did this gentleman at 531 just recently purchased 527? Because it was for sale, wasn't it?
527 is the house that.
Right next
that I
door.
built- That we built. And so he bought. I believe-
531's the spare lot next door to you, between you and Mrs. Hearn, correct?
Exactly,
That was, so 527 just bought that lot?
as far as I know.
Okay. That's all I wanted to know. I didn't.
Could we get a motion to approve?
I move that we approve that.
It has been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next on the agenda is 11F4, acceptance of the July 2023 Downtown Infrastructure and Streetscape Project Progress Report.
All right, for some clarification, when we provide reports where it just says acceptance, a motion's not needed. We're just preparing the report for you and putting the information in your hands. We aim each month to provide a monthly report on the downtown streetscape project and where we stand. In addition to this, working with our contractor or with our engineer, Abinmarsh, we also do a weekly update report that is posted to our Facebook page and our website. This report was, updated last week with new dollar figures. You'll see at the front of the report. I've just taken that schedule off because it has just been blown up and it's so fluid. It doesn't make much sense to say the concrete guys are going to be here on a Tuesday when they're on a job that they can't get off until 3 Tuesdays from now. So we just felt foolish continually say, yeah, the concrete guys are coming on Tuesday and running into issues with that. So I just removed that whole section. Also, I wanted to make council aware in the memo, the $250,000 that we secured from the federal government, that was going to go to the streetlights. When we weren't able to move forward with consumers' power with the streetlights, and we wrapped it back into the contract, we triggered something at the federal level, which is a no-no, which is you don't start a project before all the environmental reviews and stuff is done. And they considered the streetlights that we're doing with consumers not part of this project. They were okay with us starting the streetscape because the streetlights weren't part of that contract. But when we wrapped it into this contract, they gave us a phone call and said, we need to find another place at $250,000. So we had talked to them. The parking lot behind Pizza Hut, Something Sweet for You, has just been demolished over the past 2 years. Especially with all the construction we've been doing nearby it. So we want to redesign that parking lot. By redesign, I mean just, reconstruct it. And we're going to put that $250,000 to that project. We're still sitting, in a very good, strong position with our budget overall for our downtown. So I just needed to make council aware of that, action and answer any questions tonight that you may have.
Go ahead, Dave.
Last month, I noticed the big check to Milbacher was like $990,000, but on here I see like the invoice for July was $364,000. What's the difference between those two?
Okay, so when you noticed the check last month to Milbacher, do you know what the account number it was? Because Milbacher is under contract for the lead service replacement happening in the neighborhoods. That was part of our Booker funds.
So I was looking at the disbursement report, it just said Milbacher projects.
Yeah, that could have been the lead service. That could have not been downtown. Tracy, do you know off the top of your head?
I do.
Thank you.
The $994,664,000 of that was for the downtown streetscape. $330,000-ish was for the lead service replacement. And then the one for this period was just the downtown streetscape project. We just received the invoice. You just submitted it today for the Booker funds, so that one will come with the next report.
So you said that check from last month included $660K for streetscape,
Yep.
but the invoice was $364. So is there like what's going on?
So that was for May, June. The $364,000 is for June, July.
Okay.
It all comes down to timing when Milbacher sends us their invoices. Sometimes they make it before the check run, sometimes they don't, so.
So like, I guess I'm looking up at payment history by month. I'm just trying to figure out how we're tracking on this. Because it's like July payment history says $408K, but the payment in July we made was $660K.
We also have engineering as well. That's, did you put that whole report in there, Joel, the one that we did? Because it should list them out separately. This is everything that was in July. 2027, I went to create a smaller sheet. That's all the fiscal year. So July is just, will be the new fiscal year, and I'll separate it out by month.
Okay.
So the Streetscape report should be 660K in July?
The July one should be the $364,000 one. The one before that, that was $664,000, that was for May and June. So that is in that previous number that's included with the fiscal year total. So what happened was, because our fiscal year ends June 30th, to save on this report going out, I just subtotaled the fiscal year. That $664,000 is in that total for the whole year.
Even though we paid in July, that payment got in June?
Right, because the expense was for June,
Okay,
even though we paid it in July.
so it's not payments we're making in July of 408,000, we're getting invoice in July for 408,000?
Yeah, so it goes by the work order dates, not the invoice date, which is why they're behind, because we'll receive it the middle of August for June, July work.
And then we had another 300K for lead service replacement, and that's getting tracked in a different
Spreadsheet.
way, and
Yep.
are we ever gonna see an update on like how much we're spending on that and how that's allocated?
Yeah, I mean, we can provide that too.
So Dave, at the bottom of page 393 in your report, the second column from the right, amount paid to date. That shows how much we paid, Avon Marsh, those four top ones, and all the way to the bottom is Millbacher's contract. That shows how much we paid to date.
You're saying this is lead service?
No,
No.
this is downtown streetscape.
Yeah, okay, we talked about that, someday we'll get like an update on lead service line replacement, like how much we're spending there.
When the grant closes out, yeah, we'll share that information with council when the grant closes out.
Okay,
That was never, we've never given an update on the lead service project. That's never been requested from council.
okay.
Is there any other questions on the infrastructure or the streetscape?
Nice to see asphalt going down.
Nice to see asphalt going down.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. All right, next on the agenda is communication from city manager, council, and mayor. Tracy, do you have anything else?
I've got most of the year-end stuff done. The auditors will be here September 11th through the 15th, or that week. Hopefully those dates are right. And so I'm just finalizing everything for that. Nothing else for me.
Okay, thank you. Michaela?
Yes, so on the note of canceling the September 11th meeting, I was hoping that if you know that you're going to be available that evening and you are planning on partaking in the parade, please let me know as soon as possible so we can get those numbers together.
As long as Joe's not driving. He drives like a madman.
I'm driving.
Oh, no. We're all gonna die.
Parker, do you have anything else?
Nothing tonight.
Thank you. Joel?
Nothing tonight, except I'd like to thank Parker and Ryan. Tonight ended the year of summer in downtown Allegan. It was a very busy summer for them. I think counting Ryan coming in for all these events at the Griswold, it was a straight 10-day work, not one day off. So I'm very thankful for the work he did. And just to give him a little prop, at the Lake Allegan Association concert, Ryan Hurd, country musician from Nashville, well-known, highly, regarded musician, texted Ryan after the show to his personal number and said, "Hey, you're a great sound guy, thank you." So I don't want us to take for granted too much how much it is, how much work we get out of that sound program, through Ryan and the work that Parker does too. I mean, our last food truck rally night was packed, even though we had them all on Water Street and we couldn't spread them out throughout the downtown.
I kind of liked it that way. But
Yep.
anyway, yes, Parker and Ryan, thank you guys for everything you do. Bill, do you have anything?
I have a couple things.
Okay.
I too want to thank Parker and Ryan. They did a marvelous job this summer. Without them, this place would probably be pretty slow. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Our study session, we talked about solar powered car charging stations, and I happened to hear about a solar powered system. Costs about $75,000, but it's portable. Don't have to hook into any electrical system. You can move it where you want. Also, I had a city person come up to me Saturday night, wanting to know if the city is going to make sure their buildings are going to be cleaned up after all this construction. And also driveways that may have been destroyed.
Yeah.
And I told him, I'm sure it is, it's just normal stuff for a
Correct.
contractor to do, but I had nothing, so I thought I'd bring that up.
And so if you don't mind, I'll speak to that very quickly. First of all, is if a building is damaged during construction, we have a claim process established with our engineer and with Milbacher. So we've had a couple instances where we've encouraged building owners, hey, we're not sure if this crack was here before it started, but you might want to move forward and submit a claim. We've had one cracked window on Locust Street where the lady was sure her window cleaners cracked her window. And we're like, yeah, we don't think so. Fill out this form, just because we have experience with that. What I want to call the concrete residue, that gray overspray.
On
Yeah,
some of the buildings.
that's going to get cleaned up and, washed down, all part of the restoration process at the very end. We don't want to do it right now, because guess what? We're going to dirty your building again and again. So that's all part of the process. Feel comfortable to tell people when they talk to you, that sounds very interesting. Contact City Hall if you don't want to give them the information, or you can just tell them, yeah, there's going to be a cleanup process at the end. I mean, the sidewalks look nice. Parker and I, we have critical eyes. We've noticed areas like, this needs to be chipped away. They got some concrete, what they call, I'm not going to tell you what they call it, but it's junk. Extra concrete that's just, built up. They didn't clean up for that has to go, so. But thank you. We enjoy hearing people, talk and be, a part of that. So.
That was at the concert that Saturday night. That was a good concert, too. That's it.
David, do you have anything else?
Yeah, a couple of things. I was wondering if we're going to see a final report on the fireworks incident.
We weren't planning on a final report of any kind. We haven't heard anything, up to this moment. We've had some internal discussions. So I will let council know that we are interviewing other firework companies, mostly because Wolverine would not return to our phone calls. And that's, in my opinion, an immediate, I'm not going to do business with you if you're not going to return my phone call. But that's not really an update or a report on, what happened.
So in my mind, we should see a report of what happened and what we'll do to prevent it in the future at some point before we get to the next scheduled fireworks event. Is that something that we're going to see, or?
That's not something that staff's been asked to prepare. We do a pre-meeting with public safety. We do a post-meeting with public safety. But, we do that with all of our events. We do it with, the benefit concert that happened at the Griswold. We're constantly looking at the way things operate.
Yeah, I think a report would be really good, just organizationally. Just what went wrong, what are we going to do to prevent it in the future? I think that's really important I think it would be good as well for the community to see that we did that we're keeping them safe at these events. That's my opinion. So for the shut-offs for water, do we keep charging RTS after we issue a shut-off?
Yes, per the policy in the ordinance, an RTS is always issued. We don't charge commodity because they are not drawing water from the system.
That seems odd, though, because we're denying them access and then charging them a fee for that access?
There are two different fees. One is a ready-to-serve fee, and one is a commodity fee. And that is our policy, that is the council's policy and the council's ordinance.
Well, once you shut off the water, it seems like you would stop sending an RTS fee.
I think the difference being a disconnect and a shut-off. They are two different things, correct, Joel? If we disconnect it,
Yes, and a disconnect is
Different.
disconnect at the main.
correct.
So if they ever want to connect that parcel back to the public drinking water system, they have to re-tap the main.
And you pay for the
you pay-
disconnect
you pay
and
the-
the reconnect.
Yes.
Well, won't you have to pay like a turn-on fee before you can get water again? So it's like you don't have access to the water, right?
We can go ahead and put this on a study session if the council would like to see this on a study session to go over our fee schedule again. I mean, the budget was just adopted, the fee schedule was in that budget when it was adopted. I believe the most recent policy updates were approved by council at the end of 2022 or 2021. So, I mean, it's been, within a couple of years. And we can bring drug swearers in to go over that whole process.
Yeah, Doug would be the best one for that, but the ready to serve, I mean, just my 2 cents on that, it's for our infrastructure, it's not for, it's for the, what is it, the main, Joel, so that they have access to it, and then we have to maintain that whether people are using it or not, so it's not
It's
that
the
their
main-
water is on or their water is off. It's that they are ready to serve at any point that they want to get turned back on.
And it's not just the main, it's the plant, it's the 3 wells that reach 70 to 80 feet into the ground over there off Park Avenue. It's all the components within the plant. I mean,
It's all the stuff that we've showed you with the, how we set our rates.
My 2 cents is if your water's shut off, you don't pay a fee anymore. That's all I've got, so.
Laura?
I have a couple things. Do we have any fall cleanup, like dates yet? I didn't see any online yet.
Yeah, were just shared
Okay.
from the DPW with City Hall staff last week, so they'll get published in our upcoming newsletter for September. It'll be in our upcoming water bills for this next month, as well as the website, and then we'll have little printed handouts at the front desk for people to take as well.
Okay, wonderful. I
Yes.
just had somebody ask about the dates, so.
Yeah. Yep.
Next question is, when we have vacant lots or vacant buildings, is there anybody that's responsible for taking care of like all the overgrowth? Like, I'm thinking of specific buildings on Water Street right now. When you drive by, it's just completely overgrown, and they're for sale. The buildings are for sale. And there's been a couple other lots that I've just seen that
do you mean city-owned vacant?
they weren't city-owned.
Privately owned? So yeah, all properties in the city of Allegan have to conform to our zoning ordinance
So
or our
do
code
a
of
C-click
ordinances.
fix.
Yep, see-click, fix
then-
it if you see it. Which ones on Water Street are for sale right now?
Well, like the veterinary clinic and
Okay.
Riverbanks.
Well, those aren't vacant. I know those property owners, they've come and spoke to you a couple times, and Joe Leverance is looking at the powerhouse. I'll gladly reach out to
Yeah,
them.
it's pretty bad. And being down in the Mill District recently, that building, I know we had discussed during ordinance review and rewrite, demolitions. But I think that that's something that, as a council, we need to really be aware of, that there are some structures in town that we need to probably take some action with. The other thing was restoration of the riverfront with the removal of the zip line? Do we have
Yeah, so the last part that JML Real Estate has to address will be addressed after Labor Day.
Okay.
The first holdup was getting consumers' power down there to de-energize that, what I'm gonna call that service. That was de-energized, and then we had the issues with the sewer replacement along the riverfront. And then JML also owns Allegan Event. They're installing a putt-putt course, and that's where all their laborers are right now. And they go, we really want to have the putt-putt course open by Labor Day. And so Doug Hosman and I told him, we've gone through the whole summer, our events are done now. So we can do this, after September or after Labor Day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Delora. Mike, do you have anything?
A couple things. The garden area, they started out making a nice pergola, and then I've seen nothing going on there. Are they still on track to?
So I can reach out to the Conservation District and find out. I know they've been keeping it mowed. It's been looking tidy, which is, a step in the right direction, in my opinion. I'll find out where they are on implementing their other program elements down there. But they do have a 3-year contract to own it and maintain it.
Okay. And then I saw the report from Jay on the yard parking and trash. The yard parking, as I drive around, there's 40 or 50 houses that have cars parked in the yard. So do the police officers not see that? Or do they only respond on complaints? Or how is that handled?
So I can't speak to whether or not police officers are noticing other ordinance violations. I get phone calls from several residents, just as I assume most council members do. I encourage them to use C-Click Fix. I do take their complaint when they call me. I'm like, give me the address, and I'll go through that process. I do also see front yard parking. Typically, I see it on really, really tight lots where there is no room except for one car in the driveway. So, as I mentioned, I would encourage you, Mike, if you're seeing it, use C-Click Fix. You don't need to use it on your phone. You can also go to our website, cityofallegan.org. It says report a concern. You can click on that bubble, and it takes you right into that process to report those concerns. And then we can start tracking them, and then, it helps staff, become a little more accountable to following through on that stuff, in my opinion.
Okay. And so we gave away potential money for the use of the Griswold. And Mr. Jones, his water bill is a couple $100. I'd like to make a motion to forgive that and start him at 0.
Support.
Yep.
I'm not opposed to that. Is that going to solve the issue for Mr. Jones?
No, because he's still gonna get the $17.64 every week or every month for the RTS.
So would we be back here again in 3 months?
Start saying that we told him that we used his name illegally.
It's a good point, Roger. We might need to consider how we really resolve this. I mean, I think Mike brings up a fair point about the Griswold, but I also think about our goals for affordable housing, and we've got somebody who's trying to rebuild a house that was abandoned for 4 years that can't even receive water. We've been giving out Oprahs for downtown businesses, supplementing, I don't know how long that project's gonna take, but if he's not taking water at this point, are we just supplementing the development of affordable housing at that point?
If I can add, the water and sewer funds are enterprise funds. So with a lot of the debt and bonds that we have there, we're stuck. I mean,
As far as the fund balances, I'm more worried about what are we losing, like 30 grand a month on these leaks? And all the money that goes to administrative fees over to City Hall? I mean, if it's about maintaining the funds in those water and sewer funds, I think there's an important conversation to have there. But if it's about fairness and equity, I'm not gonna sweat less than 500 a year when.
So how would this be fair if we change it for one person?
I think it's a policy change we need to
It's
consider
an
here.
ordinance change as well.
I don't know that our ordinance is in conflict with the situation.
We just voted on this after the West meeting, and Doug.
Connected if we want to change the ordinance to allow it. If you have it shut off, yet the pipe's going into that property, and we have to turn it on, when you say it's ready to be turned on after you have your pipes situated, that's what that's paying for, is for that connection and for that, our water mains and everything there, because that's what the RTS is there for. But if you're fully disconnected, you can disconnect fully and get rid of the RTS, if I remember right. But you have to pay for the disconnect, and then it's
$100.
thousands of dollars
Yeah,
to reconnect.
And I don't really understand the need for that. I think that was part of the change we made a few years ago. And I'm kind of confused as to why it's not just you shut off the water and you don't pay the fees while you're shut off, and then you have to pay a fee, because you pay a fee to shut it off, you pay a fee to turn it on. Nobody's gonna shut off their water for a month and pay $200 on turn on and shut off fees. You're gonna need to be off for a significant amount of time before you're saving money on that.
So are you
But I
saying-
don't think anybody's gonna play us on that.
Are you saying adjust what the shut off and turn on costs are to take care of the snowbirds, which was part of the reason for this change originally?
I don't get where the snowbirds come in, but
The
I'm saying
snowbirds
if,
leave and they shut off their water and they don't have to pay the ready to serve. They come back 6 months later to turn it back on.
But-
So if the fee was, in essence, 6 months of ready to serve, most people
Exactly.
would not want to go and do that. That's what I'm saying. Do you want to adjust what that shut off and turn on cost is?
I'd definitely be open to that. I think right now it's like $100 to shut it off, $100 to turn it on. So that's at least a couple months, right? You'd have to be at least 3 months off.
Yeah, it's like 32 or 34 a
Yeah.
month. I pay it for my yellow house and I don't have it on there. Haven't had it on since 2017.
And I could see making it a 6 month. Shoot, I could see making it a year before it pays off. But I think the $2,500 and ripping all the pipes out of the ground seems unnecessary.
But that's what a disconnect fee is. That's the only way that that water is actually disconnected from the main, is if you remove the piping to the home. That's how it's disconnected. Somebody could come in that has some plumbing experience and connect to those pipes that are still there.
And that
and
has happened in the
circumvent that.
past.
This was one of the reasons we had RTS, and this is no issue with Mr. Jones. This is the way that it is for every property in the city. There is a RTS fee for water and sewer, and that is the process. It has been the process. We just updated the policy in 2021. People were still paying ready to serve for all of the piping into their house. I have no problem with that. I'm very sorry for Mr. Jones's experience that he had, but he did purchase a property through the county. And because that property then was in his name, the ready-to-serve fees go in there. He could turn on the water at any point, and it's ready to go. That's why he's paying that fee.
May I say something, please?
No, unfortunately, not right now, sir. So as much as I feel for him in this situation, that is the ordinance. It's been the ordinance. And no offense, I'm not going to vote to waive those fees. It's our law. It's our city's law.
Like any of us that bought a house in the city, we paid the first bill the first time the the house was in our name when we closed that paper. We paid a ready to serve, whether there was water or not. So,
I think in my mind, it makes sense to provide some flexibility around this, again, supporting in this scenario, it's development of housing. You know, if somebody's house burns down and there's nothing on the property, it seems crazy to continue serving ready to, or charging ready to
They
serve.
still get billed when their house burns down.
You know, and I mean,
Because at any point, they can turn the water on, and that is the whole point of that fee, is ready to serve at any time that they call and turn it on.
but if there's no structure,
They could still put a spigot there and get water out of it. I mean, it's,
and if somebody's got the water, house that's shut off doesn't pay ready to serve fees.
Well, that's an ordinance. We
Yeah,
can't-
I think getting into all that, we need further discussion. This is one individual. I'm for forgiving what he owes and starting him off at zero and moving forward.
Moving forward, meaning we would forgive bills that have been sent and then send him more bills.
At this point, yes.
Wow. If, so you don't have to accept my amendment. I'm okay with that. I would be supportive of anything that kind of keeps this moving forward on some level. So I'll retract my amendment.
It's $155.05 currently due on his bill. You guys can pay it individually as council members.
I'd be
For
open
the
to doing
ordinance,
that as
I
well.
can't adjust it off.
Is it ordinance or policy that we're talking about?
Ordinance.
So you're saying that per the ordinance, we can't pass this motion? Is that right?
As it,
Can't, according to the ordinance, we can't remove this.
you're gonna open a big can of worms if you do. But you can take a
It's my understanding
donations.
that council can decide an individual situation. Is that not correct?
That's gonna be a question for Joel or maybe the attorney,
That
like,
would be a question I will run by the city attorney first thing tomorrow morning, if not tonight when I get home and I shoot him an email or a text.
I can offer another amendment then. Do we want to have staff explore what we can do for a topic at the next meeting?
I'd like to stay with my motion, and then we can make another.
Fair.
So it's been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign? Aye. Motion fails.
Failed. Motion failed.
Failed.
Now, you wanted to make a motion,
Oh, I'm done on that for now. Thank
Okay.
you.
Do you have anything else?
nope, those are the three things.
Peter, do you have anything? Roger?
Just real quickly, adding my kudos to Parker and the rest of the city staff for this summer. They're just great summers. They're just so much fun, and we appreciate all that hard work that we get to benefit from. I had a question about the sidewalk in front of Tilt and 101 Brady, that got beautiful new sidewalk that got laid down and is now gone again. Why?
Sure, so in front of Tilt 118, it was graded, it was staked, and then somewhere in between the grading and the staking, somebody went in and
messed with it.
regraded, not a member of the public.
Oh, okay.
Either a contractor
Oh,
or
gotcha.
some contractor went in and regraded it and restaked it. And when they got poured to the regrade and the restake, it did not match, or did not meet ADA requirements.
Gotcha.
And so we had a meeting out there 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? Yeah, 2 weeks ago, and it had to come out. It's at the cost of the contractor, not at the cost of the city. And then the other address you said was?
It was 101 Brady. It's almost across the street. it's another section, probably
Yeah.
10 by
I
10
can help
or
you out
something.
with that one.
All right, thank you. I'm
That
drawing a
one
blank
was-
on that
No,
one.
you're fine, you're fine. That was noticed by some city staff members that there was rainwater pooling in that specific area because the concrete was not laid appropriately. So that was also torn out to be relayed at the expense of the contractor.
And then one last thing, if any other council members want to join me, I would be happy to help take care of the $155 and start out Mr. Jones out at 0. So if anybody wants to talk about that after. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you, Roger. I don't have anything. So it is 8:33. I will adjourn the meeting.